Yes,
Boom.
we got
Yes.
you, bro.
All
Yes.
right, very cool. Wait, we've got a good week, good sales week here. We've got some congratulations to throw out there, of course. I don't see them on the call, but hey, we'll give them props anyway. Diane Perry, Jennifer Wiley, Melissa Shreve all popping in 3 apps this week, which is great to see. Marcy Otis popping in 2, and I have to give props to Miss Carla Sharp as well. You popped your second Med Sup app this week, yeah, this morning. So I think
Love
you're
it.
finding your calling there, Carla. It's great to see. Uh, so congratulations to everyone there. We have Brian Phillips. Also, I don't have him on the screen there, but he also popped his first sale this week as well. So that's cool to see. Um, we've talked about this last week, but just to reiterate it, the new Transamerica FE Express app, it is pretty slick, or not app, it's a new policy with a new application. It is nice because the comp bump is there for everybody, which we love to see, of course, on our side of the house. But it's really designed, if you missed it last week, it's really designed for folks 60 and up. The older you get, the cheaper it gets, is typically the case. They design it for people age 60 and up that have one medical ailment. And it's, for the most part, if you fall into that boat, it's about $5 to $10 a month cheaper than their solutions plan. So I do love how simple the application is. Here are a few of the differences that you can see. We had this actually arise this week as a certain benefit. You can look at the max face amount. So they can get 50,000 up to age 75 versus 30,000 on the immediate solution plan. So that's great. I was hoping to sell this twice this week actually, but the people that I was talking to, they couldn't afford the 5,000 because there is a minimum face amount of 5,000 on this one, whereas it's 1,000 on the solution plan. I think, of course, the biggest thing is certainly the application process. Super simple. Nicole, I know you've dabbled with it a little bit, but it addresses a few of the frustrations that we've had with Transamerica in the past. One, it pre-populates your producer number, which is great in the sense that if you forget to do it, your app doesn't go into La La Land. There is a frustration with that too, though, is they didn't automatically port when they created this application portal. They didn't automatically port all of your state appointments into it. And so, like for myself, this week I had to call them again because they only had me showing in Oregon and Washington. So I had to call them again, which to do that, you have, before you sell this, make sure you do this like 2 to 3 days in advance because it does take a little bit. You can call that number. So 800-256-7971, option 1, that's licensing and contracting, and tell them you would like to have all of your state appointments pulled into the new FE Express policy. So it does take them 2 to 3 days, according to them, to update it. So that way, when you click into the application, it will populate your state appointments. You click on where this person is, and then you're off to the races. There is a video. I sent this out to everyone last week, so if you don't have it, let me know. It's a 9-minute video. It's really good because it's split screen. So as you go through the video, it shows the agent experience taking an application, and on the right-hand side, it's designed to be taken over the phone too, by the way, meaning the app to be completed on a phone, I mean, because the majority of people that I'm talking to, they're on their cell phones, and they're finishing their applications on their cell phones. So it shows a screenshot of the client experience going through the process as well. It's a text to sign platform, which we absolutely love. So there's two signatures that you have to go through though. So they do it in a different way. So you start the application off, you ask all the medical questions, you text them a signature. They have to create a password. It creates a Transamerica account for them. They tap a box to sign, they sign with their finger, they submit it. And what that does is it's a HIPAA authorization. And so what it's granting Transamerica access to is to go pull their MIB. So it pulls it live. So you know that you're not going to get a declination. You know at point of sale what they're going to qualify for. So once you know what they're going to qualify for, then you go back into the application, and that's where you figure out benefit amounts, pricing, payment, all that fun kind of stuff. Once you figure that out, you tap a button again, it sends them a signature again. They sign on their phone one more time, and then Bob's your uncle, you're good to go. So it's a pretty slick process. At least what I've seen, I'm trying to go through it. I just have to find the right candidate. So hopefully either later today or early next week, I'll be able to experience that real time to be able to give you guys some updates. So Carla, any of you that have kind of dabbled with it, anything that I've missed that you think is noteworthy for everybody?
Nope, you covered it well.
Very nice. Very nice. All right, Jesse, I know you've got some updates on a lead offer that came through today, actually.
Yeah, we have a good opportunity for especially for people who have been doing boot camp and just people ready to start making some sales. We have, as you know, we do our contracting for Transamerica and AIG Corebridge through your insurance group, who is, part of the Integrity umbrella. We have always negotiated really good rates on, whatever we can do for leads, pass that on, not making any money. We don't mark it up. We've always tried to get you the best cost there. In the chat, I dropped in an opportunity for today only, they say, which is basically,
by the way, that's not us saying today only. That's them.
Yeah,
they're running a one-day sale essentially.
We keep asking them for promos and stuff to do, and so they dropped us on us today. If you're interested in any of these, let us know, because we can forward you the email, which actually breaks it out by state. So you can look at the states that you have, and more than happy to forward that on to you. These are the lead source that we've used before, but they have done a complete overhaul on a lot of the processes they're doing to collect. One of the products that's on there is the Life Legacy. It's part of their Legacy Safeguard series, which is like focusing on the legacy of final expense and life products to help with your legacy for your kids and stuff like that. So those are a great opportunity to do that. One thing I will note on these is do not buy them in the Life Center portal. You'll want to actually contact Bo if you're interested today, and remember that YIG is on the East Coast, so 2:00 is kind of the cutoff for us West Coasters to try to get in on this, but we can get more information on how to purchase them. But if you were to look at the traditional IQ ones that are the FE and Life products, which we've used before, from $11, what used to be $14, down to $11, and now $5.50. Even the 31 plus days old, or the 121 days old, at $2 and $1. Let's use our technology that we have available for you. Make sure that you buy enough that is comfortable for you to possibly work, but also let us upload them and run them through the campaign and make sure your calendar's up to date in Agent One, and let's run a campaign to try to set you appointments. We have seen success on old leads 3 months later, booking an appointment and coming out of the woodworks to do that. So if you're interested, great opportunity today. Doesn't mean, I think if you were interested and you expressed that interest, I'm sure if you didn't want them to start till next week, that would be fine. It's not like you have to start them over the weekend. I think it's just kind of, expressing interest, and they're trying to wholesale clear out some of their inventory. So take advantage of that, make some sales, and it's a great way to get your foot in the door at a pretty cheap price. So
Thanks, Jess.
Yep.
I love it.
Guys, if you do want more information, they did send us the leads that are there right now by state. Yep. So if you're interested, let Bo know. We can go and pull and tell you. Like, I went and pulled Oregon earlier on those legacy leads, and there were 83 legacy leads in Oregon right now. So I was just kind of glancing through the list, looking at how many leads are there right now. And so if you want to know what's there, let us know. We can go pull it up.
And knowing YIG too, if you say, hey, you only have 83 in Oregon, I want more in Oregon, I'd commit to 200 of these. There's a good chance they'll extend and fulfill the order if you're committing. I'm not saying they will, but there's a good chance. They're really good about
We'll
that.
make Bo push Greg.
Yep. And if you have multiple states, that's even, that's great too. So you'll be able to fill more.
Back to you,
Love
Paul.
it. All right, guys, let me share the screen again. So if you saw my email from this morning, we've learned a lot, certainly, so far with the peak performers. I know Nicole and Carla are probably sick of hearing me jib jab and yap every single day. But one of the biggest things that I've been taking away from this and just witnessing is making sure that you are keeping fuel in the tank. So some of you've probably heard of this before, but would you rather take $1 million or 1 penny doubled every day for a month? You guys heard this before? Ooh, which is pretty crazy. So it's the power of consistency, right? So when you look at it, if a penny is to double every day for 30 days, if you're to go that option, you can see what starts to happen. So it doubles. If you took the million, you're doing great heading up to day 27, right? But day 28 is where it really starts to explode. You look at day 30, you're at 5x what you would have been, right? Had you taken the $1 million. And so that's just the power of consistency and doing something repeatedly over a course of time, right? And so that's what we wanted to talk about today. So we've had a lot of success with the boot camp. I think Carla and Nicole can certainly attest to that as they squad. But really what we've seen is we saw a big burst, and then we've seen a little bit of a downtick, and we're ready to see another bump here coming up. But here's why. So here's usually what happens, right? So over the course of a month, say you buy 20 leads, right? Here's what you can anticipate. You buy 20 leads that first week, you're probably going to sell about 2 coming out of those leads, right? But then that's where you've got to tap into the AI. That's where you have to do consistent follow-up. That's where we're certainly finding this, right, Nicole and Carla? There's an awful lot of follow-up. I still have 4 outstanding applications where I just need one little piece of information from somebody. That's just from activities from last week. So that's where that persistency game comes into play. So think of that penny doubling every single day, right? So, but you stay persistent, that second week, maybe another one's going to pop through, maybe another one's going to pop through, week 3 or week 4, right? But that's usually how it goes. We don't necessarily see the 20% close rate right out of the gates, right? And so in order to really make sure that you have fuel in the tank, what's suggested is that you consistently refill, right? So you buy another 20 leads, then that week 2, you're going to get another two app bump. You'll have that trickle effect another week later. You'll have that trickle effect another week or so later, right? And then that third week, you go again. You hit that fuel pump one more time. You throw in another 20 leads. You'll get that 2 app bump, and then you'll start that trickle effect. But what you start to see is each time you hit that fuel pump, you're going to get a bump initially, and then you have a little bit of a trickle later down the road. But you do that enough times, those trickles really start adding up, right? And so here's what we tend to see here is, and this is based off the $19 leads, right? So certainly if you're buying in bulk, you're going in with other people to buy in bulk, then you're going to cut that cost down. But I just wanted to show here worst case scenario, here's what it's going to look like, right? So if you buy 20 leads, you're going to make a $380 investment. If you sell those 2, what we're seeing on average advance is going to be about $12.87, right? Depending on your level, that may vary, but that's on average what we're seeing, $12.87. So if you duplicate that 4 times over the course of the month, meaning you buy leads 4 times over the course of 4 weeks, you're going to be looking at a total of $1,520 in leads investment. You will sell 8 on those initial bumps, right? So 51.48. And I'm talking advance, not total commissions, right? But then that trickle effect over the next month should yield about another $12.87, right? And so what that looks like is this. Over the course of a month, if you make that $1,500 investment, again, worst case scenario, into those leads, you would anticipate about $10,000 in gross income, 87.76 in net income with a total return on investment. This is not too shabby, right? Of 577%. So you're going to be looking like a
Even
senator
Nancy
up on
Pelosi
Capitol
would be
Hill.
jealous, I think, on that.
Yeah, right. So that's what it looks like, right? Granted, it doesn't just happen, as we're all, as of course the boot campers are certainly seeing. It takes some hustle, it takes some follow up, it takes some sales skill set, but you can develop that skill set very quickly, right? So I wanted you to be able to take a look at what starts to happen, right? I know we've had a few folks that they get that 20, they get a couple policies out of the gates, and then they kind of run flat for a while. And then all they're doing is all they can work on is recalling those 20 people. But there's only so many times you can call 20 people in a month, right? Before you're just absolutely obnoxious. And so the key to launch, I would say, is making sure you're able to go to that fuel pump a few times. So this isn't the only thing we want to talk about, right? Because what if you don't have.
Hey,
what?
Paul, wait, before you go on, can you talk a little bit about Ben and Jared and kind of tell their story a little bit, Paul? I think that we've got a lot of skilled salespeople on this call today, but and not that Ben and Jared are not. I'm not implying that, but just their experience coming rookies in the insurance business of what they've experienced and the approach that they took. Can you tell their story a little?
Yeah, certainly. And Nicole and Carla know this story very well because they started boot camp with us, right? So and every time I hear their names together, it makes me want ice cream, by the way. But so Ben and Jared were they were the solar guys. So that they had 20 years experience of selling solar. But they saw the marketplace and the tremendous opportunity going in life insurance and in particular final expense. And so they abandoned their solar business to invest in this business. So without any life or health experience, they jumped into it. They've this month so far, granted I've not talked to them in a couple of days, they've sold 18 apps between the two of them. They did make what was it? Just over a $5,000 investment between the two of them, right? They bought 300 leads between the two of them, is what they did. And so when you look at their investment, that it follows exactly what we've seen in the past as well, right? So I would say the key is they've always been able to maintain enough fuel in the tank so far this month to keep it going. And so, I mean, between the two of them, that they've made, it's going to be near 18 grand is what the gross is, right? So pretty darn close. 18 grand off of a $5,000 investment so far. So with a lot yet to go. So I mean, we do see it in action. Anytime we see people buying enough fuel for their tank, we see that take off. But we also understand not everyone is going to have that $1,500 out of the gates to sink into it. So there are other things that you can do as well, which Dave, I'm going to turn it to you to speak to the connection investment. What that looks like.
So I think you guys have heard me talk before about life insurance. And if you ask anybody about life insurance, and I've issued the challenge to the group on the phone before, ask anybody, ask a random stranger, ask your friend if they have life insurance. If they say no, they'll follow with a but statement. Because if you're essentially a responsible adult, you have responsibilities you have. If you croak, people are counting on you. And it's just reality. It's welcome to being human. And so the real difference is just opening your mouth. And so for those people who are Aflac folks, you should be quoting everybody. But back to like, hey, if I have no dollars to invest in leads to put strangers through my door, you guys are every one of us can probably within arm's reach have this right here. And I follow Cody Askins, and Cody and I did an interview this week, so you guys will actually see that pop up on his YouTube channel. But he talked about something really interesting. He talked about an agent needing to sell 8 apps. She was going to be terminated by her FMO. She needed to sell 8 apps, or she was going to be terminated. 8 apps in the next month, or she was going to be terminated. And so the advice was call 80 people or send a text to 80 people and just say, hey, I've got to sell 8 apps this month. Can I just give you a quote? So guys, I want you to imagine one of your friends send you that text. hey, John, I got to sell 80 apps this month. Can I just give you a quote, see if something works for you? All right, how many of you would say no? I'll be on it. Be dead honest. John, would you say no? Jesse sends you that text. And Nicole, would you say no? Mike, Gary, Carla, would anybody say no? They wouldn't take a quote from their friend. It's okay to say no. I mean, you're a bad person if you say no, but no, I'm kidding. But look honestly, if somebody doesn't have it and you reached out to your network and just say, hey, I'm trying to do X, can I give you a quote? And you can even put in there, hey, if it doesn't work, no problem, cool, no big deal. Like we won't ever talk about it again. But if you did that, I wonder, you just think about it, how many apps would you sell? Do you think you would get 8 out of 80? I would venture to guess that you've got a whole bunch of people. We already know the statistics tell us about half of folks don't have life insurance. Half don't have life insurance. And of that half, how many of them think they should probably have life insurance? Probably most of them. And the reason we know people don't go buy life insurance is because it's not presented to them in an easy way. But if their friend reached out and said, hey, here's a quote. So I helped one of our new agents last week. She has a friend who wants to buy a life insurance policy to make sure her horses are taken care of if she passed. She's young, so we quoted a $500,000 policy, a term life policy for her, and it was $38 a month. And guess what? The quote generated the sale. And that was it. So if you don't have dollars to invest, and you got to keep fueling your tank, just like you do your car, just like you do your body, you've got to keep investing. There's ways to find it. Open your mouth, reach out to your friends, and just offer a quote. If you're in the worksite business, offer a quote. Just offer a quote to everybody. Hey, I like to quote everybody. Everybody will take a quote. I promise you they will. And I told you before with our call center, the difference between the folks who were selling life and the difference between the folks who weren't, the only difference was they quoted them. They talked about it. That was it. That was the total difference. And it was like turning on a light switch. It made a big difference. So there's lots of opportunities to turn over rocks to make sales. Paul, do you want to talk about, Dillman's not on the call today. I think he's in surgery or something, right?
Poor Dillman is in surgery.
Poor sucker.
He's in great spirits.
But he had a great idea. Paul, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So Nicole and Carla, you know Dillman very well, of course. So talking to Dave yesterday, we had a call block yesterday afternoon, and one of the results that he had is he noticed someone's age when he was talking to her about the life insurance, and at the end of talking to her, he just said, "Hey, just so you know, Medicare open enrollment's coming up in just a couple of weeks. I was curious, do you already have your Medicare broker? Because I represent Aflac, which has some of the best rates that we're finding out there." Which I thought was a great idea to be able to cross-sell it into the Med Sup, because as I started looking through my list, he shared that, and I thought, dang, that's a good idea, Dillman. And I started looking at my list. I don't have the exact figure, but I'm willing to bet it's close to 75% of my leads that have come through would be of Medicare age, which that's a great opportunity, right? So to Dave's point, we all have connections, and we are offering something that everyone needs. So I know that can be a hesitation, right? Like, I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to approach friends that way or whatever. But as I look at it, it is something that they need. It is something they want. As Dave mentioned, most people don't have it because it's not been presented to them in the right way. And I'm willing to bet most people would rather buy something that they want and need from someone that they know as opposed to some stranger. So just food for thought out there. There's certainly ways that you can communicate. There's certainly ways that you can get it out there, and you do have that access. Something I learned from a mentor way back when I started was to make sure as you're driving revenue that you set aside about 30% was his suggestion. This is Tim Craig, Dave. Take 30%, set it aside to make sure that you always have something to fuel your tank. Right. So whatever your revenue is, take 30%, set it aside so you can reinvest it, so you can keep the wheels spinning. So those are some of the ideas that we wanted to share with everyone, because we're seeing so much success popping all over the place. As you saw on that first screen, it's awesome. But I'm curious, and any thoughts that you all have, any best practices that you would be willing to share, or any questions that you have on how to move something forward? We've got a little bit of time.
Cool. Must have crushed it today, Paul. Silence.
Or it's just really awkward today. We have everyone off camera. On that note, hey, thank you everyone for your doing, Carla and Nicole, and I'm looking to see if there's other peak performers on here. We do have our weekly wrap up here in 30 minutes. So if you're not on that, you guys can join if you want to. I don't know why you would want to. Oh, there we go. Ayla coming in with a question. I've been getting Kaboom leads where the applicant thinks the program is free, and I'm not sure the best way to handle that. I have had that a time or two as well, Ayla. And truly, I think that they're misinterpreting what it looks like or what the ad is saying. So yeah, it's
we ought to report that though
to
Kaboom. So if you could list the lead and what was said and send that over to us, Ayla, we'll share that with Kaboom. I'm not telling you they'll replace that one, but I can tell you they have been absolutely liberal in making sure that we have replacements. In fact, when they did my replacements, I had like 6 that needed to be replaced. They replaced it with like, I don't know, at about 2025. I'm like, Bo, they need to like turn this off because I had like 6. Did they do it to you, Carla, too?
Uh-huh.
So I've never had a lead company that's that liberal with it. But if you pop that over to Bo will reach out to Adam, our connection over there. And we'll do that. They've been very, very liberal with us. And I would say that Cody, who owns that organization, they've been more than friendly with us. Yes. Oh yeah. In fact, there's a
Ayla, you can go right here as well. If you go to kaboomleads.com, you can go to support. Hit support, hit the lead replacement form. And then
So one of the things I talked to Kaboom about this quite a bit because this is the #1 complaint that we get, and they've shared with us and multiple times like how they word their ads, and there's zero deception, zero. What they have noticed though is that the people that click on these ads, typically this is the 2nd to 3rd ad they've already clicked on within the ad. And that's what you're going to run into, is they mix those ads together. So we are running into quite a bit of that because typically, yeah, you get about 50-50, right? You get about 50% of people where the ad just hits it, right? They just had a life event. It's front and center of mind. The ad's perfectly timed. They click. The rest are people that just like to click ads. And those are the ones where, you call them and their voicemail says, hey, if this is about life insurance, I don't want to do that. Okay, then why did you click the ad?
Yeah, we definitely have that. Yeah, I'll say though, Ayla, I had one of those that I was able to turn around. She told me that, and I just kind of chuckled. I said, well, it would be pretty difficult to fund your beneficiary on nothing. So you put on here that you want to cover Bo. You want to make sure he has something if you pass, correct? So I'm assuming that you have something in mind, some dollar amount that you've allotted to be able to leave Bo something. Do you have a dollar in mind? And at first she said $1, and I started laughing. And I went, but realistically, what would that be? Most of my clients, I can get them some between $1 to $4 a day, so $300 a month. What feels right to you? And she said 40. So then we were off to the races, right? So not to say that that's going to happen every time because I've not been able to do that with every one of those I've had. I think I've had 3 of those as well, Ayla, come through that way. But
yeah, and you can always spin it, saying, hey, no, this is a free consultation. I'm going to give you a free quote rates. Like there's nothing there. I'm going to help you get what's best for you. And then, like you said, Paul, just refer back to the information you actually have on them. So Kaboom has been great.
For sure.
Absolutely. All right. Awesome. Anything else? Anybody?
All right, guys. I'll chime in and let you all know. I'm doing my nerd magic. So for those of you who might need to access Agent One or our website tonight and tomorrow morning, you may be out of luck. If all goes well, nobody will notice any changes. If not, I'll be working all weekend. But But if you guys need to get Agent One access to Agent One and it's not working, you guys can go to gohighlevel.com. I'll put that in the chat. And on the top right, they have a login button. So that is the backup method to get into Agent One. If you're not able to get there through our regular link this weekend. But everything should be back up and running by probably midday Saturday at the worst.
Awesome. Thank you. But I even had that on my updates, Bo, and I blew right past it.
Lots of nerd things happening tonight.
We don't want to know all of them. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend. Appreciate what you're